Welcome to another production of Source Selection Soundbites. These productions foster learning, insight, and the ability to perform. Today's topic is GSA Schedule Solicitation Nuances. Today we will discuss GSA Schedule Solicitations and NAICS codes. Topics include CO NAICS code-related duties in the open market, how NAICS are handled in GSA schedule procurements, and how NAICS codes relate to GSA special item numbers or SINs. The North American Industry Classification System, or NAICS, is a code scheme used by the federal government to identify and classify specific categories of business activity that represents a firm's line of business. The SBA publishes size standards that are utilized by its various small business programs that are applied to various types of small business activities. The selection of a NAICS code is extremely consequential because it affects a company's small business status and who can compete in an agency's acquisition. As you can imagine, this choice may not go unchallenged. Before we get to how NAICS code selection and application works on the GSA schedule, let's look at how it works in the open market. This gives us the information to compare and contrast the effort required for GSA acquisitions versus open market purchases. The first thing the CO must seek to do is determine the appropriate NAICS code by classifying the product or service being acquired in the one industry that best describes the principal purpose of the supply or service being acquired. What guides this selection in terms of the principal purposes of the work? The CO accomplishes this task by giving primary consideration to the industry descriptions in the U.S. NAICS manual and comparing them to the product or service descriptions in the solicitation. There may be several NAICS classifications in one performance work statement. So, how does a CO determine the primary consideration of the work? A procurement is usually classified according to the component that accounts for the greatest percentage of contract value and the function of the goods or services being purchased. Since there is some room for discretion, the CO must seek to make a reasonable selection, as more than one NAICS code may fit the situation. When there are several choices, the CO probably should document the rationale for the decision. Wrong NAICS codes can cause all kinds of problems for the CO, such as a finding that it violated the Competition in Contracting Act because the agency's requirements were wrongly categorized in SAM.gov. Once the NAICS code is firmly established, it is applied to the acquisition to ensure that only contractors that meet the small business size standards associated with the NAICS code are eligible for award. The GSA schedule is organized by large categories and subcategories. These categories are associated with NAICS codes. NAICS codes are broad descriptions that tell you how a product or service is being used. GSA schedule SINs are numerical codes that allow government buyers to more specifically identify the products and services offered by GSA contract holders. The SINs are organized into 3 tiers, each providing increasingly specific information about the products and services. The SINs and NAICS codes are closely aligned, which simplifies the process for government buyers to locate the necessary products and services. In this example, you see that one NAICS code, 541519, is aligned with several related SINs. The SINs represent the kinds of services that can be acquired under the NAICS code. In the last example, we saw that one NAICS code can have several SINs associated with it. This relationship can also go in the other direction. That is, a SIN can also have several NAICS codes associated with it. These are examples of GSA contracts listed in the GSA e-library. The SIN 54151S, Information Technology Professional Services, is underlined in green. As the top and bottom examples show, it encompasses SINs 541511 and 541512. This SIN also encompasses 541513 and 541 and 519, as well as a few others. How does the GSA schedule make the use of the NAICS code easier? First, a single NAICS at the contract level is applied to all orders, and currently, the size of the vendor does not have to be recertified on every order. The contractor's size follows its size certification at the time of award or option exercise. However, the CO has the discretion to request recertification when an order is awarded. We'd also like to note that, in accordance with the new SBA final rule, the CO's discretion ends on January 16th of 2026. After that, Certifications of small business status will be required for orders that are set aside for small businesses. To wrap things up, let's review what we discussed. We discussed that NAICS codes must be correctly and reasonably applied to every acquisition in the open market. Second, we discussed that the NAICS code for orders follows the code established in the GSA schedule. And third, a small business need not recertify in accordance with the size standard of its NAICS code on every order. Thank you for watching another episode of Source Selection Soundbites. For additional information, check out some of the other videos in this series, other Productivity Partners materials, or our Source Selection Answer app that is available on the Google Play Store and Apple Store. In any event, thanks for watching and see you next time.